Okay, so when we're talking about kind of what is the devil's triangle. So the devil's triangle is something that we see in my work all the time in system architecture, right? That has three pillars or prongs around this triangle. And if one of those does not work, then we have a huge problem and a structural issue that makes our technology strategy, implementation, AI, all of those different things not successful at all. So 3 groups, 3 different realities, 3 different ways to do things. And those are always the pieces that we need to make sure that we're so aligned. So we've got the leadership tier, right? That's super important as a part of, I'm going to draw you. So we have the leadership tier that's huge in this triangle. And then we have IT, also huge. And then we have what we call the business, right? And we talk a lot on our channel here. And we talk a lot about that misalignment. So this is our little devil's triangle where we have leadership, IT, and the business. And the business, I just want to focus on, that's the end user, right? We're talking here to the people that are the actual operators of the system. And that piece is absolutely critical, often left out, but we need all 3 of these things to make any technology strategy work. That's just how this works. So let's define that. Let me get to your question here. Why is it common for leadership IT and the people doing the work to be disconnected? Well, a lot of times this really depends on, the basic structure of the organization. But a lot of times IT has a specific set of priorities that they're in charge of working on, right? They are always the ones that are kind of like the fix it, the save it, all of these different things. So they get really good at saying no. They're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. We already have that, or things like that. And if we get to a culture where that's a common thing that they're saying to the business, then we're not solving problems. So the issue a lot of times is that VP of business systems, it's that CIO, it's those people that are not bringing that together at that leadership tip, at that leadership tier of the business. The CIO needs to be so involved in making sure that we're still aligned here, right? And bridging the gap between these two. If we have weak leaders, then that is a huge issue. If they cannot acknowledge their blind spots, all C-suite, if you have a C-suite or you have a VP in your title, you have blind spots in the organization. I don't care if you're the best, Tony Robbins of leadership, you still are not going to be able to see every area of the business. That doesn't mean that you're a shitty leader. That just means that you're a regular person that can't possibly have the same experience that everyone has on different levels of the organization. So you need to activate ways to actively listen to those people and kind of go out and understand their experience. So that's a huge piece of that. The visual is helpful, good. It's, it's so high tech over here. Why does IT often feel the need to defend its value instead of the business feeling it organically? A lot of times when it comes to that defensiveness, that's not necessarily an understanding of competence, right? It's kind of this signal of misalignment. So you don't see everything we do. The system has already failed. And IT has historically been kind of in this basement dweller situation where they're not a big piece of the business. They're very, very siloed. So it's not something that we often see IT kind of pulling up a seat at the table. In the modern business, right, that absolutely should be happening.